Welcome back. Today we are going to look at none other but the Memphis Grizzlies. We're going to look at their perspective, their offense through three players, and how it affects their overall team strategy. Let's go. The first thing that comes to mind from me whenever thinking about the Memphis Grizzlies is transition. And the reason I believe their transition is so effective is Morant. Okay? He is always looking to push the ball. He's got fast twitch athleticism, and he's able to see passes ahead very well. Even in times when you have good defensive position with Drew Holiday, good defenders in good defensive position, Morant sprinting downhill is just so difficult for any one person to stop. And because Jason Tatum isn't willing to fully commit and the big isn't willing to fully step up, it leads to a relatively open shot where he gets the foul call as well. But this fast twitch athleticism makes any mistake that you have on offense like lethal instantaneously because you are simply just not going to catch him running full head of steam. And then even on situations like this where you have missed shots, if you have a player that just kind of chills after missing a shot, wanted the foul call, whatever, Morant is going to look to try and punish you. Derek White gambles up there to try and delay the ball getting passed, and then Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown tries to step up and match Morant, and Morant just is gonna he is so quick twitch that he is going to punish you absolutely 100%. And so he gets it down here and eventually finds whether it was going to be space on the side or a cutting big to the middle. Morant just so many things to occupy the defense's attention to get great looks in transition. And again, if you get slightly lackadaisical on defense, we're watching Jason Tatum up here. If you don't go with the player that was guarding you, Morant is going to be able to get that ball, and he's going to be looking ahead to try and find that opportunity for easy passes and easy finishes. But not only does Ja play well in transition, he also plays well on the offensive end on the half court. And one of the reasons is because he's able to attract so much pressure going downhill. And so one of the things about him going downhill is that he provides such a threat to attack these gaps right here that it makes you hesitant to really close out on him as a shooter. We're going to see that more later. But even Drew Holiday, that quick little backstep right there, gives Morant a little bit of space for a three. And because Ja is so efficient when driving downhill, he actually doesn't rely on shooting a huge amount of threes in the first place. And so defenses kind of play off that, where Kristaps Porzingis, you can see, is backing up. He's not worried about Ja as a three because he cares more about him as a threat to the rim. So his threat to the rim opens up so much option on the outside. And this is back-to-back possessions, or just about back-to-back possessions. And we can see the exact same concept from the Celtics here is as they go. Drew Holiday is essentially going under this screen, and Marcus Smart just brings him down with him to give Ja this open three again. They're not prioritizing the closeout. They want to prioritize the rim because of him getting downhill. And this leads to the player I was super impressed with in this game, and that is Bane. I thought he played unbelievably well. And he does a great job here, is forces the defense to rotate. So he drives a little bit. We can see him attacking one-on-one. And because he gets Jaylen Brown up in the air, it forces Derek White to react slightly to get off balance. Because Derek White is off balance, which I don't think he actually needs to be, because Bane can't actually drive right now because he already dribbled. So he kind of leaves Morant slightly, and because he's leaving Morant, it gives Morant space. And this is exactly what Morant wants. If you give him space, the opportunity to attack downhill, there is nobody that can stay with him in the NBA. Absolutely nobody. He uses that to burst past, and then he avoids the help with a reverse dunk as well. This is very impressive, both from Bane, but obviously from the finish as well. But what opens us up is Bane's ability to shoot and Bane's ability to drive. I thought he did a great job in this game driving one-on-one, obviously getting the big in the air. And this is why I always believe, like, if you're Kristaps Porzingis, like, you're okay with him shooting a contested mid-range shot rather than a layup. Like, why get up in the air and give up the layup? That I don't understand it. And then again, Bane given the opportunity to work in a pick and roll, he rejects the pick and roll, says, I want essentially to attack Peyton Pritchard. I think I have the advantage here. And so he's going downhill, uses it to create contact, and that's a very good finish. And then ultimately what that opens up is if you get him driving downhill, at some point you have help come over, and that opens up players that you're going to soft close to, like Morant. And so we just saw that it led to a dunk. This is another example. Instead, this time it leads to an open three. And the final player we're going to talk about is Jaren Jackson. And Jaren Jackson is so versatile because of his ability to do this. He is unbelievably athletic and has great ball handling. The ability to get downhill and attack bigs in transition is superb. And so there are a lot of bigs that aren't even as quick as Kristaps Porzingis that he's going to try and tack off the dribble, and that puts a lot of strain on the defense. because if you have shooters surrounding, it makes it very difficult to help off, and so that leaves your big on an island with one of the more mobile bigs in the NBA. And then not only this, but if you get it, so you were switching, so Boston was switching right there. And so as they were switching, essentially it led to Jaylen Brown being the one that's defending. And Jaren Jackson is going to be like, well, I'm slower than Jaylen Brown, so I'm not going to attack. He's going to use his body to create distance and still get to the paint. And because once he gets to the paint, he's going to have the height and length advantage. He's going to be able to have it, or he's going to have a decent chance finishing that simply over the top of Jaylen. And because Boston also oftentimes likes to switch and or change up the way they play defense from traditional, you're going to get Drew Holiday on Jaren Jackson right here. And so Jaren Jackson, like, that's obviously a size mismatch. And so if he can attack that, that also puts a lot more constraint on the defense where they can no longer go to that style of defense. And then finally, very similar to John Morant, is the threat of the drive can open up shots on the outside. And Jaren Jackson shoots the ball fairly well. And so because Cornette is worried about the drive, he's way far back, and that gives a clean look to Jaren, and he's able to bury it. And so John Morant's injury status affects a lot in this game, but a lot for their season, but I was very impressed with Bane, John Morant, Jaren Jackson, and the overall way the Memphis Grizzlies plays in this game in particular, and I look forward to seeing how they handle the rest of this year. Bless.